Wow! Here is a good information for everybody. Have the taste of fruit in different form at your parties, event, church program, or social engagement like wedding, birthday, conference, in your house, and lots more. Fruit cocktails, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration, fruit kebab, and lots more at Sweet Heart Fruit Company. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ní gbogbo ibi tí a bá ti ń ṣe àríyá, ìgbéyàwó, ọjọ́ ìbí, àjọ̀dún ilé ìjọsìn, níbi afẹ́ tàbí ibi ìgbádùn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, ẹ kàn sí Sweet Heart Fruit ní èyíkéyìí ohun tí ẹ bá fẹ́ kí wọ́n fi fruit dálẹ́rà fún yín bíi fruit cocktail, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà, ẹ lè kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 079-442-78530 or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all social media platforms at Sweet Heart Fruit. Oluwaseun Akishoun is the CEO of Sweet Heart Fruit. Patronize us at Sweet Heart Fruit today. You will be glad you business with us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show, Enough is Enough, Soro Soke. Today's show, we have a very interesting topic right now. It's going to be about security. So today's title is Nigerians are sleeping with two eyes open. So let's discuss insecurity. With me, one of my guests today is Mr. ADEOYE OBANLEOWO. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Femi.
Okay.
Good everybody. Right.
So, this is the second. This is I think the third show. Is it the third show? The third show in the Enough is Enough Soro Soke, hosted by me, Mr. FEMI OKE, and sponsored by Better Nigeria. This show is dedicated to debates and discussions centered on making a better Nigeria for all of us. Okay. So you can call into the show on the following numbers: +44 791 809 952 or +44 203 774 7220. The numbers should be showing on your screen. Okay, so I'm just getting to grips with this computer this week. Let me move it on. So, Mr. Obanleowo,
yes.
We're in a situation now where insecurity has become the main talking point for everything that's happening in Nigeria right now.
Yeah.
It's become very disturbing, if it were. I mean, for lack of another word, it's the centerpiece of everything going on. And just yesterday was that we had a school in the Niger State was stormed. I think 20-something students plus another 15 or so staff were kidnapped. Okay. Previous to that, there was also a kidnapping of some about 50-odd people on buses in Niger State. This really is a big problem, isn't it?
Good evening, our viewers, wherever you are watching us from. Yeah, it's a problem that. Honestly speaking, I don't even know where we're heading to in that country, because with all the problems we are having regarding security, with a sitting president, folding his arms, not saying anything, everybody, is in limbo, really. That what kind of a country is Nigeria turning into? The situation in Niger State. What I find very disturbing about what happened in Niger State is the fact that not only were these children kidnapped, but it was even extremely difficult for the security when they were alerted to be able to rescue these kids, because these kidnappers even, they had school uniforms sewn, just exactly the same kind of uniform that these kids had. So it made it difficult for the security people who could have intervened to rescue these kids to do anything because
determine
yes. So so you see, things have just got to change for me. Yeah, things have just got to change. You see, because initially it was in the south, now it's every nook and corner of the 36 states.
Yeah, but you say initially it was in the south. It's always been in the north. It's been from the northeast to the north central to the northwest. It's just coming to the south now. Yeah. So I have another guest who's also with us. Is Miss Chief Otumba Oseni.
Otumba Oseni, yeah.
I don't know if you're there. Welcome to the show. But whilst we wait for him to connect, what I would say is that the importance of security in any nation,
yes,
is paramount, isn't it? And what we find is in the Nigerian constitution, the constitution that Nigerians say is not fit for purpose.
Yes.
If we go and delve into the constitution, it actually highlights the importance of security and the importance of what government must deliver for security. I'm just looking at Chapter 2, Section 14, subsection 2A, and it says not 2A, Section 2B, that is, yeah. It says that the security and the welfare of people shall be the primary purpose of government.
Absolutely.
So now that we have that kind of situation, that is the primary purpose, numero uno importance of any government running the Federal Republic of Nigeria, any state government, any local government, is the security and welfare of the people. Is the government failing in this regard?
The government has failed woefully in that aspect. You see, because when it's becoming obvious that things are happening, you know, continuously without any changes being implemented. I mean, you see, one thing is for the country to be going through a turbulent time. Another thing is for leadership to take control, to say, look, you know, this has got to stop. You know, kidnappings right, left, and center. I mean, another disturbing video came to light a few days ago, where a man, you know, driving in his GL 550 Mercedes-Benz with his driver, was attacked, you know, on the road, you know, going back to his village. This was in the east. Only for the timely intervention of the police force, another life could have been lost. You see, so this kind of things cannot continue. You see, we cannot just fold our arms. You know, even in the Senate, there was a debate yesterday where a lot of people leveled serious allegations against the president that, you know, it is high time that this man, if he's not competent enough to do the job, you know, to protect lives and properties, according to, you know, the constitution which you've just read out, you know, do the untenable, then your position as a commander-in-chief has to become untenable. You see, because you are not leading by example. You keeping quiet, you know, pretending as if, you know, everything is okay when it's not, you know, is not sending the right message. And when that is now becoming a trend within the society, you know, it demoralizes and it doesn't instill confidence.
Yeah, but
in that particular government.
I watched yesterday the National Assembly, and the one of the members, one of the senators,
Senator
Sonny Sonity, was made quite a lot of noise about the situation. Yeah. Well, we know that the president on his own can't declare national security, a state of national emergency. That's been decided by the Supreme Court. So isn't it not for the National Assembly to actually declare this state of emergency if indeed there is one? Because the president can't do it on his own.
You see, the federal government, you know, we have our commander, Buhari, as far as I know, is our commander-in-chief. So they have to work in unison with each other. You know, the Senate, the House of Reps.
The rubber stamp House of National Assembly.
Yes, to be able to come to a logical conclusion to say, look, you know, this is a global problem that is affecting every single Nigerian in all the 36 states. So the most important thing is for all this the three arms of government to come together and declare a state of emergency.
So state of emergency. Yeah. I would like you at some point, maybe not today, we should look into the implications of declaring a state of emergency. That's very important.
Yes.
And is this a nationwide state of emergency, or is this in specific states? Because I remember just before the elections of 2015, I believe under Goodluck Jonathan, there was a state of emergency declared in the Northeast. That's quite different from a nationwide state of emergency and the implications of that.
You see, Femi, we have to look at the security issues, you know, across the 36 states, and be more specific about the areas in which, you know, or the states which have been adversely affected the more. You see, and you know, if most especially some governors have been coming out to say, you know, their states, you know, is becoming so unsettling that the only suitable solution to this problem is to declare a state of emergency. You know, and when these governors are coming out, then what they are saying to the federal government is, look, you know, the lives of my people are not safe, so please come out and do something. Yeah.
So that is the thing now, that everyone is asking the federal government to do something.
Yes. That
presupposes that governors are toothless and they're the chief security officers of the states.
Absolutely.
But let's look into this point of what is actually security. When we're talking about security, what does security actually mean? And from where I'm looking at, we're talking about security of life.
Yes.
We're talking about security of property.
Yes.
We're talking about security of food, employment, livelihood.
Yeah.
All these four things that I've talked about, people's lives, their property, their food, their employment and livelihood are all in jeopardy at the moment.
Yes.
This is a big problem for Nigeria, isn't it?
It's a big problem, you see, because not only are we just facing these serious issues regarding security, even there have been issues of a lot of people complaining in the south that most of the food that is coming from the north have been contaminated. You know, who are doing the?
I've watched some of these videos that just completely.
Well, you see, look, no, family, let's not. You see,
has there been any incidents of poisoning, food poisoning? If there was truth in it, we should have lots of food poisoning episodes happening.
Let me tell you one thing. You see, the problem you and I have is because we just look at these things and just dismiss them as if maybe they are gimmicks or people are just playing games. You know, if these things are not happening on our streets, people will not be recording these things to bring it to the public domain.
I've seen a few things that I've watched.
We cannot just automatically
they're not based in reality.
You know, but Femi, you know, why would you think that, you know, anybody in their right frame of mind will just come out, you know, without anything better to do and say, okay, you know, they want to...
There's an agenda out there for many things to bastardize and look at people in certain way.
I think I would disagree.
The point I'm making is that...
This is part of security as well, because you mentioned food.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the fact of food. What I'm trying to say is that you've talked about people adulterating food.
Yes.
That's a very serious allegation.
Issue, yes.
Now, there must be truth to that, rather than just talking about some videos that you've seen on social media. The truth that you would see, like I'm saying, is evidenced in widespread food poisoning episodes all over the place. How would someone be poisoning people when they don't know they're not even poisoning their own people? Who do they know are the end consumers? They may be northerners as well, so there's no guarantee that whoever it was. So besides,
let me just quickly correct one notation there. You see, the fact of the problem is, why are people, you know, even doing that at all? It doesn't matter whether, you know, this is happening.
You're making an assertion.
You know, no, this is not assertions. You see, when we look at these videos, part of social media is to bring to the public domain the problems that we are facing with food security, you know, security in our communities, security across the country. So when all these things happen, we cannot just be dismissive of these videos to say, oh, you know, people are playing games.
I've watched those videos, and I don't even give any credence to any of them. Like I said, someone put in a video and having an Hausa man saying, look, here he is, he's adulterating Milo, look at what they're doing to the Southerners. Come on, that's staged, that's a nonsense. But when we talk about food security, what I'm really talking about is two things. You mentioned the fact that food is coming from the north. That's very important. The second thing is that a lot of these herdmen's and farmer clashes are happening in the south and other in the middle belt and other places, even in the northeast, where, you know, farmers went to the farm and got beheaded. So that is a very big threat to food security, because farmers are not going to the farm because of fear of danger and life being killed on the farm.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to the farm, they're not producing food.
Yeah.
They're not producing food, and the population is growing.
Yes.
We have food inflation at the moment, food price inflation
Yes.
at the moment. You know, the inflation has gone up. Most of it is down to food. This is a critical issue.
Yes, it is, Femi. And you see, I mean, just like I was trying to say earlier, you know, we can't just automatically...
I think we've got a call coming in. I'm not sure if it's Otumba.
Good evening, caller. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Otumba. I'm not getting connected. What's going on?
Okay, let's...
Okay.
We'll get back to that.
Okay.
You're going to connect him up on the next? Can you give us a thumbs up once he's connected? Is he up on... You give us a thumbs up when he's connected.
Okay. He's on.
So, Tumbo, I believe you're actually live. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, Femi. Hello, Femi.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Good. What I will say is, getting into debate, we discussed in the studio that security, you know, is life, property, food, employment. These are all security risks. What are the causes of insecurity? You've got criminality, bad governance, climate change, bad management, all these causes of criminality. Which ones are more the causes of the type of criminality that we're facing in Nigeria right now?
Okay. Can you hear me? Am I in the studio now, yes?
Hello? 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 Hello?
There's a bit of a delay. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
I have responded. Can you hear me?
Okay.
So
Okay,
the question is, what these
what's the
criminalities? What's causing the criminality in Nigeria right now?
Femi, talking about governance, we need to look at the tools of governance. We also need to look at what are the main preoccupations of governance. Ordinarily, even in Somalia, the main preoccupation of governance is protection of property and life. Even though in Somalia, they're yet to achieve 1/3 of that, or also some places in Sudan and some other terrible countries in Africa. So let's coming back to Nigeria. The problem here is we've never had good government since the last 60 years. That's the truth. We've never had anything an average Nigerian can say, oh, there was a time the government is good. We don't have that. So security is like a part of the bad governance an average Nigeria have to endure with. So when you're looking at what has been happening in the Northeast, Northwest, Borno State and all that places where people are just taking lives as they like, kidnapping is order of the day, and there are many other terrible things that does not augur well for an average citizen of Nigeria. So now let us ask ourselves, what are the main causes? The main causes of this is not far-fetched. It's because
Yeah.
it's kind of
So Tumba, you're
go on. The line is so bad. Can you hear me? Hello? 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 No, that Femi, don't worry.
bad governance. But apart from bad governance, you've got things like climate change. You've got things of lack of opportunity, unemployment, inequality, and discrimination. Bad governance can't be the cause of everything.
Oh, Femi, I expect you to know better. The first year of anybody studying political science or legal aspects of governance in this world will know that bad governance, the byproduct of bad governance is what you are enlisting. The issue of kidnap and all that kind of thing, bad roads, this and that are byproducts. They are not major causes. The major cause, and only one cause, is bad governance. When you have a good governance, when necessary tools of governance are in place, commission, agency, policing are in place, it will reduce. Of course, there's no 100% good governance anywhere in the whole world. But what you are saying, what I want our listeners and viewers to understand is we need to start to address the issue of governance. Governance, if a governance is so bad like as it is in many African countries, the result is what you now getting, like kidnapping, these and other devilish things that is going on. So that's the point I'm making. Let us address governance first. If we don't address governance, if there's good governance, there will be less of a lot of other atrocities. There won't be in any year, in any time, the Fulani headman coming to your garden or coming to your farm and going to places and perpetrating atrocities and so on and so forth. I mean, I live in London. I can choose to travel to.
Femi, to answer that question, I'll first and foremost make reference to what Baba Olawo said, when he was alive, that anytime you find yourself, in a position of authority or in government, do not do what you would do in government, what you cannot do, before you came into government. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is a lot of people, don't see, governments as a platform for them to go and serve. They look at it as an opportunity for them to go there and enrich their pockets. Now, because of the fact that they have already laid bad dividends, so people are now looking at that and saying, "Oh, hang on, if I only spend 4 years in the House of Reps or 4 years as a senator, I'm made for life." So you now have to go back to previous governments. Every subsequent government that we've had in Nigeria since independence has always been a failure. Nothing has improved since independence, you see. And that goes back to what I said earlier. When Baba Olo was alive, Baba always emphasized on, if you're disciplined in your own home, you have to live within your means. Yeah. You have to be satisfied with the little you have. Yeah. So if you can't manage your own personal affairs, and you now look at, going into government with one aim, which is to go and, enrich your pockets, then already, the objective has been defeated.
So the personal character is flawed for many Nigerians.
Yes, for many Nigerians.
But then you mentioned family. That's also another factor.
Absolutely,
We talk about having culture, heritage, and about the Yorubas or the Igbos or
the basic norms and values of society are not there anymore.
They have been dispelled. So how is that the family, people are coming into the house with untold wealth, which they don't know what the source is not known.
Yes.
But they're being celebrated. I watched the video the other day. I was talking about social media, but a couple of chaps got on their car, got onto the road, and just started throwing millions of naira around the place, and everybody was cheering for them.
Cheering for them. You see, that's
the Robin Hood kind of scenario.
That is the level of social decadence in Nigeria, whereby nobody cares anymore, about how you got your ill-gotten wealth. As long as you have money, as long as you are driving, the best cars, as long as you're wearing the best clothes, what people just want to see is this man has got money, and that is a very, very, very dangerous precedence to set. You see, because people are now watching to say, look, if this guy can all of a sudden nobody knows the source of the wealth. If this guy all of a sudden is blossomed and is a money, I can do that as well. So whichever way I make this money is nobody's business, as long as people see that I have money. And that is not laying a proper foundation, because people are now watching, and the level of atrocity, the level of criminality in Nigeria is so much, it's so vast now that people are even scared to trust one another.
I want
that trust, because the norms which our forefathers, which were the pride of our forefathers back then, everything has not gone down the drain.
Otumbo, I'd like you to come in on this one, just to say that, we're saying that crime, has societal factors that are inherent in the problems in Nigeria. Nigeria is a lawless state. It's not just about the government. The people are a critical factor here. So if the people are criminally minded, isn't that a big problem? They don't pay their taxes. They don't clean up their areas. There's so much there's so many things going on. Law abiding is not a thing that Nigerians do when they're in Nigeria. When they come abroad, they're law abiding, but whilst in Nigeria, it's not happening. What can we do about these things?
Thank you, Femi. And you're just giving yourself the answer. And you and I know, and for some of us who has been living in outside the country, Nigeria, or outside Africa, let me put it that way, outside Africa, you are talking about lawlessness. You are talking about people are not paying taxes. You are talking about people. Hello. Hello. Am I still on? Hello. Hello.
We can hear you. Carry on talking.
Okay. Yeah. You're talking about again. Like I said, all these anomalies.
Keep talking.
Okay. All these anomalies you mentioned, you talk about. Again, I want to take you to the fact that if you live in Germany, in Holland, in London, in places of civilized world, or where you cannot just break the law. If you are looking for lawless people, you get all sort of people in Europe, in Spain, in America. But one thing keeps them in check, and that is what we refuse to apply in governance in our country. What keeps them in check in this country is rule of law. I'm sure you won't take your car now and start raising. You can raise. You can go to M for what I know, M1, M12, M13, and do over where you're supposed to do 70. You can do 200. It's up to you. Apart from number one, you endanger your life. You also have to be seen. If you are stopped, the number one consideration is yes, you are be endangering your other people's life on the motorway where you pay tax. But they will have to start applying rule of law. They have to tell you there's a limit to what you can do with your 10 million pounds worth of Lamborghini or whatever. So there's a rule of law in countries like here, like UK. You understand me? And the rule of law works to a great extent, a very great extent. Oh, some people can say, oh, but I've seen the husband of the Queen having a little, car, whatever.
So let me bring Oba into it. Otumba is saying basically that the structures of the country, the lack of rule of law, is the main reason
100%.
why the problems of the criminality is being put in. And let's put that in a historical perspective. If you look at these countries that have the rule of law, the UK's, the France, the Americas, we're talking about hundreds of years, centuries of the establishment of the rule of law. We don't have centuries of the establishment of the rule of law in Nigeria. We had centuries of the establishment of customary customs, if you like. That's quite different to the rule of law. It's like the jungle, really, literally, in Nigeria. So now we have a higher incidence of insecurity in the north, which far outstrips that of the south. Why would you say that is?
Why it's more
why is there more insecurity? Is the incidence of insecurity, incidence of kidnapping, the incidence of herder-farmer clashes, the communal clashes, be it religious insurgency, whatever you want to call it, far more in the north than it is in the south. Why is that?
You see, Femi, I think I'm going to attribute that in particular to, you see, because, a lot of people are of the view that in the north, most northerners are not as well educated as we are in the south. That could be, as a result of, lack of employment, lack of opportunities, within the north, most especially, states like Niger State, Adamawa, I wouldn't say Kano State or Sokoto State, because these are well-known states where we know, in terms of...
Quite a high population of Christians in Adamawa.
You see...
You'd be surprised in Niger State as well.
Not even that alone, you see. We're more specific about, insecurity and why, most of these problems are more prevalent in the north, because... You see, Femi, an idle hand is an idle mind. Apart from, cattle rearing and people who are actually engaged in maybe the civil service, farming, you can't, in comparison to people in the south, southwest, and the southeast. In the southeast, for example, the Igbo indigenes are more known to be more industrious. They're more known to be people who want to be self-reliant on what they can do with their two hands. They don't rely too much on...
the same as a farmer? Is he not relying on his two hands?
Farming is not the only kind of business.
I'm just saying, someone that makes bricks.
But how many of these kind of people do we have in the north? You see, so that is why a lot of people always are of the opinion that is why, because of the fact that there is less opportunities in the north, they are hell bent on holding on to power at all costs.
Right. So you're talking about the northern leaders now. They're quite different from the normal northern people. So historically, we can say that the education gap is still there,
Yes.
okay, but it's reduced. It's not as bad as it was before, and there are sufficient elites in the north. They have enough elites, but opportunity seems to be lacking.
It seems to be lacking.
Environmental factors also
yeah.
come into the drought, the desertification. The Sahel is disappearing. You've got Lake Chad is disappearing. All these things are happening. And there's a population explosion going on there as well. You find that where people who are unemployed and not doing much, they're actually having more children. And the more educated you are, the less number of children that you have.
When you look at the population of people in the north who go into early marriage, it's more. It's synonymous in the north compared to people in the south.
So as a country, because I always find that Nigerians as a whole are trying to always sectionalize and say the Northerners or the Fulanis, like you mentioned, that they want to hold on to power, blah, blah, blah. Criminality is not exclusive to any particular zone or any particular people. We know that there's a higher incidence, possibly, I'm not saying it factually, but possibly, or in the north, and it's been ravaging from the northeast to the north central to the northwest, and now in Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, and Niger states. It's now knocking on the doors of Kwara State, and into the gateway. That is the gateway of the north to southwest. So now that is coming to the southwest, everybody in the southwest is crying and shouting, the tide needs to be stopped. Is separation the solution to stopping that spread of criminality from the south? Because that's the talk on the streets now.
I think it's now becoming a necessity. If we have to be sincere with ourselves. Look, in any serious minded country, security and the safety of your people should be your #1 priority. That should be paramount. Now, you see, because most of this...
I'm sorry to cut you in there, but you're going to get back to your point. So, when you say the security and the safety of your people, are you talking about Nigerians or are you talking about specific people?
I'm talking about Nigerians because that's our subject of debate this evening is focused mainly on what is happening with insurgency and security issues in our country. I know most African countries or other parts of the world as well face security issues. There's no part of the world where you don't experience crime. But when it's now becoming, when it's now getting to a stage where everything is now getting out of control without anybody taking cognizance of these things, then, it is high time that we have to look inwards and say, look, how do we address these problems before it gets out of hand completely? And back to, what I was trying to say earlier, whether in the north, south, southeast, or wherever, as far as I'm concerned, as long as we still come under the canopy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria until, maybe, one day somebody tells me otherwise, we have to make sure that all the necessary parameters that needs to be in place to make sure that all these atrocities and all this criminality that is being perpetrated by unscrupulous elements across the states, is brought to a halt.
So, Otumba, I don't know. I want to ask you the same question because I found in the southwest, and we're Yorubas. My name is FEMI OKE, as you know, and you're Otumba, and we've got ADEOYE OBANLEOWO here. We're all Yorubas, and there's a big cry out now in the southwest for Oduduwa Republic, following on the heels of Biafra Republic. Criminality has no face. It's not exclusive to any region. Will separation be the solution? When, if you think about it, there's more criminality in the north. Would they not be calling for separation if that was the case, that separation is the panacea to your problems? Should they not be calling for separation then? Does that make any sense? Is it not better for us to unite against criminality? Because after all, criminals are in the minority. They're not the majority, are they?
Yes. Femi, again, let me quickly take out of the way when you alluded to it takes UK, America, China 700 years or 900 years to get to where they are. And I always debunk that quickly and used example of if you have £1 million to spend on a project, will you want to go back to antique days? Won't you go shopping with the modern tools, equipments, and all that kind of thing to do the project? Am I right or wrong on that? What's your take? What will you do? Now, we have a country that the leadership that emanated, that emerged from the large populace, the people of the country, are showing how, excuse me, showing sign of wickedness. They are very devilish. They are just like, they don't care about others. And because they do believe that to get to power, they have to buy their way to power. There are a large number of rent-seeking politicians. We have a large number of people who have degrees from university of this, university of that, but when they get to power, they don't use the power to serve the people. They use it to serve their people, their own selves. It shows the level of their selfishness and many other things. They don't really care about you and I. So that's just by the way. Coming to the issue of security again, which I believe is the major topic of tonight, I want to say to you for free that you are not going to get the Igbos, you are not going to get the Hausas or Fulanis or Yorubas to control problem of... hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Blaming the government's...
no, can you hear me at all?
Let me just move the
FEMI,
question back to the studio before we go on a break, and I sort out the gremlins of the IT in the office. Look, there's so many different ways of solving the criminality. Some are talking about separation as the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Some are talking... yeah, we'll get back to you, Tumba, sorry about that. So others are talking about restructuring.
Yeah.
Some are talking about more police. They're talking about state police. They're talking about community police.
Yeah.
And some are even talking about citizens defending themselves. The Minister of Defense the other day,
Yes.
I think it was yesterday, said that, you know, citizens should defend themselves against these armed attackers. Yes. Yes, we can hear you. We're just going to go on a break just now. So when we come back from the break, you're going to answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Níbi àríyá tàbí lóde ayẹyẹ gbogbo nílé afẹ́ ò tàbí níbikíbi. Bóyá 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 ò kẹ́gbọ́n mi. Sweet Heart Fruit ń gbẹ́lẹ̀ ìdè o, ó táwọn yọ. Wow! Here is a good information for everybody. Have the taste of fruit in different form at your parties, event, church program, or social engagement like wedding, birthday, conference in your house, and lots more. Fruit cocktails, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration, fruit kebab, and lots more at Sweet Heart Fruit Company. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ní gbogbo ibi tí a bá ti ń ṣe àríyá, ìgbéyàwó, ọjọ́ ìbí, àjọ̀dún ilé ìjọsìn, níbi afẹ́ tàbí ibi ìgbádùn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, ẹ kàn sí Sweet Heart Fruit ní èyíkéyìí ohun tí ẹ bá fẹ́ kí wọ́n fi fruit dálára fún yín bíi fruit cocktail, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà, ẹ lè kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 079-442-78530 or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on social media platforms at Sweet Heart Fruit. Oluwaseun Akishoun is the CEO of Sweet Heart Fruit. Patronize us at Sweet Heart Fruit today. You will be glad you business with us.
We're back on the show now, so back to the questions, and Otumba, sorry about the problems. We're going to hopefully sort out these gremlins this time around. So the question I'm asking Oba right now is that there are so many different solutions to the criminality that people are burdened around. You mentioned about you know, separation, which is a kind of restructuring. Restructuring, there can be different types of restructuring, means different things to different people. So we could change the way things are being done in Nigeria now to address the criminality. They're talking about more police. They're talking about more police is a different thing to state police and community police. That's a different thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then citizens defending themselves. Like the Minister of Defense said the other day that Nigerians should not, mano, they shouldn't allow these criminals to subdue them, even though these criminals are coming in with AK-47, coming in with rocket launchers, RPGs, if you like. How are the people going to defend themselves?
You see, Femi, we are in a serious predicament in Nigeria, most especially, you know, with all the issues that you've just mentioned. Now, you see, when you find yourself in a society or in a system whereby security is not top of the agenda, a lot of things are happening with kidnappings, people losing their lives, so many things that you cannot explain, you know, people disappearing, you know, in mysterious circumstances. Then it gets to a stage where people are going to say enough is enough. If the government is not doing anything, that is why we have, you know, people representing us at local government level, at state level, at the federal level. We don't just pay these people to just, you know, earn a salary at the end of each month, but their role and their responsibility as legislators, as senators, as local government chairmen, or, you know, commissioners or whatever you want to call them, is to make sure that the interest of their people is paramount.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Enough is enough. How can I help? What's your question for the show?
Ade speaking from Barking.
Okay, Ade. Nice to have you.
I would like to contribute to what you are saying there.
Okay. What's your question?
And my question is that, because the question you have just now is that should we have more security, more policemen in the country? Why should we? I think our priority is to let our government know that our youth need to be empowered. We need jobs. The youth are working on the streets, they graduated, no work for them, nothing, no job. They are just struggling to survive. So what do we need the security for? Why do we need more policemen? I don't get it.
So
if not for the reason that they are jobless, there won't be crime, there won't be atrocity everywhere. You should get what I mean. We need jobs. People are suffering because even most of the celebrities we have in Nigeria, they are trying their best in their own way to become what they become, not because the government supported them. No. I think the thing that should be our priority as at this time in Nigeria, they should create jobs for people. They should employ our people. They are saying the youth are lazy. In which way are they lazy? They are not lazy. Trust me, they are not lazy. It's because they find nothing to do. That's why they thought they are lazy. They should create jobs. They are coming here, they can see what is happening in this country. Why are they not doing the same to better Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Ade.
I might come back again.
Thank you very much, Ade. Look, like you can turn out, like you're saying, Ade is saying that back to one of the things which we haven't got to the solutions, but she's saying that economy, creating jobs. We know that lack of jobs, lack of opportunity is one of the main factors for criminality in Nigeria. So jobs can't be created overnight. In America, with just over COVID, over 23 million people are on the unemployment register in the just last year.
Yes.
Okay, 23 million people. Now, criminality is there. COVID, all that kind of stuff. Jobs can't be created overnight. So in the absence of the job creation, we can't allow the criminality and the recklessness to just carry on. And you've said that government is failing in this regard. And I'm confused because the budget for police, the budget for security is some of the biggest ever. It's one of the biggest portions of our budget. So if government is spending more money on this security, which is just snowballing round, how does, and you know, we have only got about 300 and something thousand, let's say 380,000 police to a population of nearly 215 million by now, because population is increasing all the time. We're not even doing a census, so we can't even tell how many people we're increasing by. We're just guessing. So the ratio of police to people is very low. The ratio of army to people is low. So you don't have enough police, and you want this to curtail insecurity. Is that really tenable?
You see, Femi, I think I agree with our caller. Let me be honest with you, and I'll put it bluntly to you. You see, you know, whether we tend to agree or not is another thing. You see, only in the last 18 months, 12 to 13 months, when this pandemic broke out, that is when we really began to understand that yes, you know, Nigeria is definitely in crisis. Because, or when elections are coming up, that is when you really understand the magnitude and the level of poverty in Nigeria. Now, back to what the last caller was saying. I think she has a valid point. You see, even if everybody cannot get a job, you know, there are other incentives that a reasonable and sensible government should have in place, which is maybe, you know, different kinds of schemes whereby people can, you know, go on specific kind of training, like, you know, the construction industry, you know, and you give them a little bit of money, you know, to back that up, you know, like what they do in this country, whereby people go on apprenticeship schemes, you know, social welfare. Nigeria is rich enough to be able to afford this kind of things. If you have a Senate,
Nigeria is not rich enough.
Listen, Femi, listen. We keep saying Nigeria is not rich enough, but we are rich enough for all these politicians to be stealing, you know, ridiculous amounts of money, you know, in billions to other parts of the world. What are we talking about? What is the population of Nigeria that we cannot take care of our youth?
How much are they stealing to the?
You see, let me tell you one thing, Femi. Because you live in the United Kingdom, you might not understand the severity and the magnitude of what people are facing in Nigeria. No. Nigeria, I believe, is a rich country that could take care of all these abnormalities.
No, the thing that I agree with, and it's one of the points that I say, that solving the economic problem is the key to solving criminality. I don't dispute that. But that government has the money to do that, that's where I'm going to dispute with you. Now, like you also said, is there other ways government can do, which doesn't necessarily revolve around making money, but creating opportunity.
Creating opportunities is very, very important. Yes.
For aspiration and prosperity. That is what's lacking in my eyes. And opening up the economy, stop making it a closed economy, because everything now is who you know, you understand? And also, government politicians, these politicians that you're talking about, are always cornering everything for themselves.
If we can eradicate corruption to a minimum level and reduce the level of bureaucracy in Nigeria, you will begin to understand that Nigeria is blessed with a lot of resources, whereby we can start generating adequate revenue to take care of all these pressing needs. You see.
Let me go to Otumba on the other line. Mr. Otumba, Chief Otumba, are you there?
I'm here.
Let us know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Femi.
What we have here is that citizens should defend themselves. That's what the Minister of Defense said. What is your view on that? How can defenseless Nigerians defend themselves against AK-47 wielding bandits? We know that the right to bear arms is not necessarily in the Constitution of Nigeria like it is in America. But I can hear you. But we have the right to access to licensed weapons. Is there a contradiction in this? The right to bear arms and the right to access to licensed weapons to defend themselves?
Yes, Femi, again, I'll take you back a little bit to the question you asked, the Pastor or Deacon yeah, your guest in the studio. Let me put it a little bit more mildly. Yeah, you asked the question whether break up or going separate ways is going to solve the issue of security. And my own take on that is, let's take an example of the agitation from the West. The Southwest now saying, you know what, we have enough from the this amalgamation that's never worked. So we want to think of alternative to going our own separate ways. Oh yes, an average person can say that. Yeah, but then again, there is two school of thoughts. The first school of thought say we just want to go outright, no more waiting, nothing can be done to fix the situation. We had enough. We want to go our separate way. And then the second school of thought is now saying, yeah, that's fine. We can do that, but we need to put pen and paper together and work out what the immediate benefit now. When I say now, it may be 2021, and then look at beyond the 2035. That is a period of time an average Southwest does not want to hear about. As far as we are concerned, it has to be immediate gratification. Whatever we are doing, whatever we want to do, we want to get immediate result. These are problems facing us. So the second school of thought might probably say, well, because if we break up today, the hardship, the probability of not getting it right immediately the next 10 years is going to create more problem for us than if we sit down and not doing nothing, but work out how best to sort out the problem of separation. That's just, let me now go to the latest question he asked in terms of criminality. And I also want to quickly make reference. If care is not taken, we are going to miss the debate. We are going to lose the debate. Because I said to you, if you are looking for any country in the whole universe that officially carries arms, one of the countries that carries arms officially is America. America is one of the very few countries that officially allow the 350 million American citizens to carry guns, ammunition. Though they have to register, they have to go through different kind of check, So, but the truth of the matter is the overall security which America provides. You cannot find 1 over 100 of it anywhere in the whole of Africa. So this is the truth. Yes, if people say Nigeria, let us everybody carry guns, you and I know that it is very easy to misapply, to misuse, to use that guns because it will not be properly regulated. It will have been fantastic if everybody carry guns, because people the Fulani will not just come to your farm and come and destroy your plantations and so on and so forth. Because hello, can you hear me at all? Hello.
Okay, thank you, Otumba. I want to get Oba into the debate. So what Otumba is saying is that basically there's no point. I heard you, Otumba. Sorry, thank you very much. So what Otumba is saying, yeah, I'm just bringing Oba into the question. So Oba, what I'm saying is that Otumba was basically saying that licensing weapons is not, and getting access to weapons is not a good thing for Nigeria, because we don't have the capacity like America, which has got strong security networks, strong police. So if everybody was carrying arms, it's like a recipe for disaster, because in America is one of the highest gun crime countries in the world. Even South Africa's got issues with gun crime. But I'm more looking like not necessarily a complete open right to arms, but controlled licensing. We could have controlled licensing. so that communities that are under threat can apply for weapons, for guns license, if you like, so that they can avert this threat. And this could be done in unison with other communities, not trying to separate, but coming together as a collective to secure, because all lives matter, as we know. All lives matter. Yeah. So a Fulani man's life matters just as much as a Yoruba man's, or a Shekiri man, or a Robo or Tiv. So they all want security. No one is above the law, you understand? Yeah. So, but do we have the capacity in Nigeria to deal with licensing weapons now, guns? Because imagine how many people, because of this threat, will be applying to the police for weapons now. You can go, you know, there's Firearms Act. If you go on there, it's quite simple to apply for a gun license. There's a few rules. If you have like 10,000 people inundating the police that we said that hasn't got enough numbers, doesn't have enough capacity, how can they deal with that?
You see, Femi, I mean, as far as I know, going back so many years, I know there's quite a lot of military personnel, you know, serving, or those who, you know, are retired, that have guns, you know, which are, you know, licensed guns. How did they get this?
They would have got a license.
Yes. So the same manner in which, you know, those who are still serving, or those who might have retired from active service, you see, I don't think anything is impossible to accomplish in Nigeria if we set our heart to it. You see, I mean, just like Otumba Hussaini said earlier, I don't subscribe to the fact that, you know, every citizen in Nigeria should carry a gun, but at least make the facilities available for people to register. But you know, but there must be conditions, you know.
There are conditions.
Yes. So those conditions which you got on your app there, as long as those conditions are being,
they're not onerous. They're not quite. They're quite easy to do.
You see,
but you need to apply to the Commission of Police in your state of residence.
Whatever.
To get it, you have to have a medical report.
There has to be a criteria. There has to be a criteria.
It's quite simple. There's about 7 different criteria. It's quite easy. You have to be 35. Because they don't give guns for anyone under 35. And you have to renew your license every year, and it's only 500 naira to renew your license.
Absolutely.
So it's not difficult to get a license.
So if it's not difficult to get a license, and, you know, obviously, you know, from what you've read there, you know, you can apply, but everything has to go through the Commissioner of Police in your state, then, you know, which means there is a system in place to cater for these things.
So governors, as the chief security officers of the state, are they failing in their duty and not encouraging their citizens or key particular citizens in villages in a coordinated manner? Say, these loads of villages, they're in a threat. So who are the elders amongst you, or the ballers, or the whoever you want to call it, the Afajaz, to be able to apply for a license and to fast track that application, so that they can defend themselves?
Remember what I told you last week, you know, on this same show, that most of the state governors that we have in Nigeria, the 36 states, they tend to focus more on the capitals than the other environments. No government in Nigeria as of today, you know, believes in the devolution of power. And you see, people within this suburb areas who are still, you know, striving to have 3 square meals, you know, do you think that is going to be the priority on their scale of preference? No, absolutely not. You see,
but security is an issue now.
Security is an issue.
Shouldn't it be something that's come to the front burner now?
When you give priorities to specific areas because they are the capital, or you think
but now with what's happening in Barapa, what's happening in Yewa, what's happening all the place, they've had to readdress things.
They have to readdress that.
So isn't it not an issue now?
Based on what you asked me now, it is not happening right now.
Or it's not, so that's what I'm saying. Should not the governors be doing something about
that? They should be, but, you know, they should be, and that should actually be, you know, a priority. But as things stands now, Femi, you know, based on the magnitude of what we are experiencing, you know, across the country,
going back to what you said about opening up the economy,
inevitable.
Going back to what you said about opening up the economy and creating opportunity. Security. This is an area where we can create opportunity for employment and opening up the economy, because as I was saying, currently you have to apply to the Commissioner of Police in your state.
Yeah.
You need to provide medical report and some other documentation, passport, pictures, and so on and so forth. We don't have enough police to be able to process an influx of thousands, tens of thousands of people applying for gun licenses now. Isn't that an opportunity to open up the system, to create private sector involvement to supplement the police, to create 21st century gun license and register, making it easier for Nigerians to protect themselves, since the state has proved incapable of protecting them from criminality? Isn't it an idea that private sector can come involved to create the personnel? Because if you have to take a policeman to start registering people to guns, he's one less policeman that could be fighting criminality. Absolutely. You know, over here, all the backroom stuff is done by non-police staff, really. We don't have that situation in Nigeria.
It is possible. And I am sure, you know, as time goes by, based on, you know, the country's security advisors and what they advise Mr. President, or what the specific advisors in each state that we have, you know, say to their governors, implementing these things shouldn't really be a problem.
Shouldn't take more than 6 months.
It shouldn't take more than 6 months.
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months at
all
max.
All across the
state.
Digitalized, biometrics, everything.
Absolutely. You see, and that boils down to what we said last week. You see, not having an effective IT system in Nigeria, whereby the government can say, okay, or whereby the local government can say, in my community, you know, these are the number of schools that I have, these are the number of secondary schools, these are the number of resident citizens in my area that I know are on the voters list, or you know, the database. You see, when we have a comprehensive database that is fit for 21st century, FEMI, you will begin to understand that most of these problems that we are having now, you know, will be a thing of the past.
Nigeria is infested with vast amounts of illegal guns. You understand?
It's because people come into the country, you know.
Well, even through the borders, even through the ports, we've seen several cases.
That is another problem. So maybe a discussion for another day.
So because
border control needs to be tightened as well.
Yeah, but even through the shipping, there's been many containers of weapons being found that were not.
And who do you blame for that? The customs.
Yeah. So at the end,
and when they bring in these guns, who are they bringing in these guns for? You know, most of the time, you know, some certain Nigerians who have the finance, you know, bringing these guns from overseas countries purposely, you know, for this kind of purposes, that we are talking of, insurgency, you know, to put these AK-47s in the hands of these criminals who are victimizing innocent Nigerians. How do you think all these people are getting hold of all these AK-47s? Do you know how much an AK-47 is? 2.5 million, 3 million. No,
but we know the history of where the AK-47s came in, because when Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi was disposed in Libya, then you had an influx of more weapons. You've got the problems in Mali. You've got Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, Al-Qaeda in Africa. So what's up? So you've got a lot of issues there. But I want to bring Otumba back into the question now. I want to say, Otumba, history has shown that united communities, I hope you can hear me, Otumba. So history has shown that united communities fare better against armed bandits. We've got another call coming in. Let's see who that is. Maybe that looks like. Hello. Welcome to the show. Enough is enough.
Hello. Have you come to the end of the program?
Oh, you're here. Okay, let's answer you. I've got a question for you. Since we're having problems. Thank you. Nice of you to call in. So I said, history has shown that united communities fare better against armed bandits and insurgents. What will it take for the majority of Nigerians to overcome the separatist fervor eating up Nigeria?
Come again with the question, Femi.
So history has shown that united communities fare better against armed bandits and insurgents. What will it take for the majority of Nigerians to overcome the separatist fervor eating up Nigeria?
Not to employing more people than private companies or whatever. They're the largest employer of labor. And also, after half of this labor we're talking about, and the security industry, then there's another area like civil servants and many other things. So they also sometimes go into entrepreneurial arrangements where government, apart from providing a enabling environment, so we have a very lazy government, or government in Africa. And they're not lazy, they're only clever. They're only clever in looking after their own pocket. So when you have this kind of thing, it indirectly will eat it into the livelihood, survivability, security of the people. And that's exactly what is going on in Nigeria. Because we have no good government at all different levels, both federal, state, national, local government and so on and so forth, we will continue to have problems with security. And so, any which way, we will need to start from the bottom. Awolowo said, if we don't know the cause of the problem, the effect will continue to linger.
So, Otuba.
Or the way we deal with the cause and causes of our problem, you understand me? We will never find solution to the problem.
Okay, so Otuba.
We are so blessed. We are so blessed.
Yeah.
Let me round up.
Yeah, no, let me just so let me just
the geology report, you find out that the resources in Ogun State alone will feed almost all of Africa. We are blessed with virtually everything.
okay, Otumba.
Because of corruption,
Otumba, you can hear me. Let me just jump. Otumba, let me just cut in here. Look, you said that we're so blessed, and you're quite right. And Mr. Obanlewo also said that, the economy is the key thing that we need to focus on. And I think we had a caller, Ms. Ade, also mentioned that. And so I asked this question now to both of you. I said, a strong, open and vibrant economy is the best panacea to criminality. How can we create a strong, open and vibrant economy in Nigeria? We're so blessed. How do we create this strong, open, vibrant economy to address this criminality?
Femi, sorry to interject you. Femi, if you are to have so much millions of pounds sterling or dollars to spend, will you go to Nigeria and invest your money in Nigeria as you speak, a country where there's no security?
At this stage, I won't. Unless only do it because I'm a patriot. But ordinarily, I wouldn't. If it was a business decision, I wouldn't.
Same problem that even the inmates, people who are living in the country, who have so much money to spend, is stealing the ill-gotten money, they are also afraid to invest the money in the business. Even those who are on the ground, apart from those who have been there, number one, they need to deal with the problem of electricity, power, and some other things. Then come this issue of security. Then you have a lot of people who are invested in Greek, which is also like the second major.
I think it's number one. It's the number one.
Because of day in, day out, their products, their farming, their plantation have been threatened, have been eaten up by one segment of the country. They even find it so difficult to start a Greek business. So really, we need to deal with the cause and cause of all these things. These are byproducts.
Yeah.
These are effects of bad governance. We need to start doing good governance. Governance, when you FEMI OKE is awarded a 100 million contract
I wish.
to provide basic things for the police. The police also must have a good foundation. In this country, UK, there are almost about 40 levels of policing. It's not the ordinary metropolitan police you see. There are different layers.
Yeah, Mr. Otuba, I don't want us to digress. We've already identified as creating. I'm going to ask Obanlewo to answer the same question. We've talked about the different causes, the factors, the social causes, economic causes seems to be one of the biggest reasons why we have so much criminality in Nigeria, apart from the personal factors as well. How do we create this strong, open, vibrant economy to solve these problems? Because to me, I think that is one of the main key parts. When the government we talked about when the Constitution, chapter, I can't remember, it was chapter 2 in section 14, I think, where it mentioned that the purpose of governance was specifically to create security and welfare, to secure the security and welfare of the population. I say to people, I say with all seriousness, and I'm not saying this to denigrate this particular government, but since 1960, in fact before 1960, during the times of colonial era, it was never the purpose of any government under Nigeria to serve the people and provide security and welfare. They've not done it. It has failed woefully. And those who are leading, instead of doing that, have served their own purposes. So how do we address this? Because this is critical. This is the key to unlocking the potential of Nigeria. Because without this, we're on a spiral downwards.
Look, Femi, to answer that question honestly and based on my experience living in both sides of the world, you know, Nigeria and here, you know, putting into perspective, you know, the way and mannerism in which I've seen, you know, how a normal society should function is to make sure that you give everybody a sense of belonging. You see, I know it's easier for a lot of people to say that, you know, in Nigeria criminality is on the increase, and I fully understand that, because in Nigeria is a country where there is limited opportunities, and most of the people who, you know, have studied so hard, worked so hard for so many years, you know, educating themselves, you know, their parents have invested in them, they're not enjoying the dividends of what they've invested in their children. So while those the government should be utilizing those brains are now being used into criminal activities like Yahoo and all. You see,
do we have to blame government for it?
No, family, listen, and you see, charity begins at home, and you see, leadership starts from the top. You see, let me take you back to 1983. During the brief administration of General Muhammadu Buhari and Tunde Jagbo, they proved and they showed to every Nigerian that discipline, lawlessness can be indiscipline, lawlessness can be eradicated from this system, you know, if everybody can cooperate with the government.
Yeah, it wasn't eradicated, it was curtailed.
It was look, you see, but to a reasonable extent, Nigerians knew that yes, this is the government that is fit for purpose.
Yeah, but that's a military government.
When we have a civilian government, when we have a government that is fit for purpose,
same rules.
You see, it is now left to
Are you expecting this civilian government to apply the same kind of rules as a military
civilian government or military government by definition is government for the people.
In a democracy?
Yes.
How do you curtail people's rights when they're already complaining that you're stopping them from protesting? How do you do these things in a democracy? You cannot make, like I said, even simple things like putting your rubbish in a bin, cleaning the streets. If you go to any village, any town in Nigeria, it's disgraceful.
I understand, and now back to my point, that look, when we have proper legislation in place, when we have people, you know that in this country, you know, if you don't pay your tax, the taxman will be on your case. You know,
then you need manpower and systems.
Listen for me, you know, if you want to put your bins out, if you don't put them properly, you know, in the bins, they won't take it. If you're persistent, if it continues, you get fined. You see, these are the kind of things that our people need to be educated. You see, we can't just it doesn't matter. It does matter, Femi. You see, that is why we have you know, at the local government level, that's why you have your supervisor for works, supervisor for environment. But these people, you know, they don't have the resources at their disposal to be able to take care. No vehicles to go around to take care to inspect all this happens. Okay, you remember a time in Nigeria when they had this wole. You know, I don't know whether that is still prevalent in Nigeria. You see, this yes.
But look, and clearly, you know, you've got systemic issues here.
Yes.
I've already said that since independence, even before independence.
Nobody has respect for the rule of law anymore.
This is a long-standing problem.
Yeah.
That's not going to be solved overnight. We're all crying. We're all there's a state of hopelessness, and it's become the lot of most Nigerians. How can government provide opportunities for aspiration and prosperity instead of just palliatives to quench their poverty, hunger, and misery? How do we do that? Because at the moment, government's got all these various, give 5,000 here, give 10,000 here. These are just palliatives. They're not solving the key problem.
Yeah.
How do we create the opportunity for aspiration and prosperity? We need, I think, and I'm an APC man all through and through. I must admit that on this show. I mean, I'm not ashamed of that. But the problem and the conundrum for any government is how to overcome and create opportunities for aspiration, prosperity, instead of what we're doing now. And I think that that's the failing of this government and past governments. Because 2023 is coming ahead. Yeah. How can we be sure that we're not just going to have more empty promises and that we're going to have a government that understands that creating opportunities for aspiration and prosperity for every Nigerian is their key? As it stands now, I don't know any policies. I'm not talking about social intervention programs, because to me, that is not about aspiration, it's not about prosperity. It's about alleviating poverty and just survival. It's just a stopgap. We're talking about moving forward, because you said so many people have graduated, can't get a job. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. You know, the government cannot be the one to create all the jobs, because government in business always fails. But opening up the economy, there are so many things that can be done. I mean, what do you say to that? This hopelessness.
Femi, let me say this in another way. Let's look at the system that we live in.
I don't want to always look at. Let's focus on Nigeria. Our
focus is on Nigeria. But
because what can government do today in the next? Let's look. Just to call it, to make it clear. Yeah. We know that President Buhari, by God's grace, is going to be there for the next 2 years. This February, in 2023, there will be another election. Yeah. Okay, so he's got 2 years left. Yeah. Whether you are a supporter of the government or you're against the government, it matters not. Just like Barden here now. Let's unite and create solutions for government. Yeah. What can government do in the next 2 years to create aspiration and prosperity for Nigerians, to open up the economy? We know recently that it's said that we're out of recession now because Nigeria's turning over. Yeah. How can they create that opening of the economy to create aspiration and prosperity? That's the question, really.
Look, Femi, you see, this is my own honest opinion. You see, every citizen in Nigeria from the age of 18 or from the working age, you know, should have that sense of belonging, you know, within the society. That look, the government values them and they value their potential. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is, not everybody, as I said, you know, the government cannot look after everybody, but at least create an atmosphere that is conducive for everybody in terms of, you know, people who want to be entrepreneurs, people who, I mean, look at this guy, you know, I can't remember which state, you know, who, you know, is in the industry of making cars. Yes. You know, I'm sure there are so many. Innocent. There are so many entrepreneurs like that. There are so many people who want to go into farming. You know, encourage them. You know, send them on training courses. You know, open up the construction industry. You know, train people. You know, in the construction industry, you have people who are draftsmen. You have architects. You have people who are, you know, engineers. You know, we have so many engineers languishing in their homes who went to University of Lagos, University of Learning, you know, doing tailoring. You know, that's not, you see, it's all about, you know, making resources available to these people, you know, through bank loans, you know, the local communities, what we call the credit unions. You see, there are so many. So that way, you know, what you're saying to these people is, you know, look, let's take you off the streets, you know, let's try and establish what you're good at, you know, what your potentials are, and when you do that, you will just discover that people will be able to embrace that, engage in that, and gradually, slowly, as you say, it's not going to happen overnight, but slowly and steadily, you know, with more incentives, with more opportunities, you know, out there, you know, not just for a macroscopic view, you know, I know that most bank loans, you know, in Nigeria are only for a macroscopic view. You know, only if you know, people, the bank manager, or only if you know somebody else.
Collateral anyway.
It should be available to. There's so many. Even the vulcanizer, the mechanic. You know. These people need funds, you know, at their disposal to be able to say, okay, look, this is what I want to do. Not everybody is going to go to the university. Not everybody is going to be a professor. Not everybody is going to be a surgeon. You know, but in whatever they want to do, the economy, the environment has to be conducive for them to be able to for these people to be able to say, okay, look, you know, this is what I want to do, and the government is supporting. You know, if you can't give them everything, at least support them.
Yeah, but I would say that, and my take on it is that in the 1930s, you know, in America, Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt brought in the New Deal. Yeah. And that we need something like a New Deal in Nigeria. Let's look at something like Mambilla Dam. You know, they're trying to build a dam in Mambilla Plateau. Okay? That is a multi-billion-dollar investment. Yeah. Do you know the tonnage of cement that will be used? The tonnage of stones, the tonnage of sand, the amount of water, the amount of earth, the amount of iron, the amount of electric cables, and going over years to construct that. That would create hundreds of thousands of jobs. That project has been on the table, if you like, for over 30 years now. During the time of Babangida. Just talk. Okay, to build the Lagos to Calabar railway is going to cost billions. It's going to create thousands of jobs. Do you understand? Community projects. You haven't got waterworks in your community. Get in the community. So I believe that we need a new deal. I call on President Muhammad Buhari and the APC government to work around a new deal now to really transform Nigeria. The Americans are talking about new infrastructure. We don't even have any infrastructure. That's going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. The danger, they will say, that pumping government money when there is no money is going to create inflation. But if all these jobs are based on local expertise, local materials, local employment, it's using Naira, not the dollar, it should make a difference. It should make a tremendous amount of difference, and then it can address this problem that we're talking about of unemployment. You understand? When are we going to do something like that in this country? Because that's the only way forward, to engage millions. Because we don't need to engage, I mean, the government has planned to say we're going to take 1 million people off of unemployment every year. With the way the population is growing, that's not going to be enough.
I agree with you on that. I agree. You see, I mean, it's going to be a gradual stage. But, I mean, personally, you know, I'm sorry to say, and with no disrespect, this government hasn't done anything in 6 years. So, you know, with only 2 years left, so...
You say they haven't done anything. What do you mean? What is the meaning of they haven't done anything?
They haven't done, I mean, in terms of, you know, the economy, you know, the economy is not as buoyant as you would have expected, you know, considering the fact that, you know, we knew what the state of the economy was 6 years prior to them coming into government. So we know the state of the economy in Nigeria now. So I mean, I think you know, when Kemi Adeosun was there, she did her best to inject a fresh impetus into the system. Unfortunately, you know, she's not there anymore.
But the reality is on the ground as reality. What I always look at fantasy economists that we have in Nigeria at the moment. I'm not saying you're one of them. The reality is we still remain a mono economy. We have been so since the
and why do you think that is the case for me?
I'm not asking. This is not about me asking answering the question. I'm saying that's where we are now. We are a mono economy. We've been like that since we found oil in the 1960s. We haven't moved beyond that. So if you've got a mono economy that's dependent on oil, and that oil has gone down in value and demand because the Americans were one of the major consumers, but they stopped because they started doing fracking. You understand? And they've got their own sources. In fact, America's a net exporter now. Back in 6 years ago, 6 years ago exactly, America was a net importer, importing a lot of Nigerian oil and gas. They're not anymore. So with those kind of factors, it's not rocket science that the economy was going to spiral, and you're not going to magic some wand that's going to change that fact of oil prices overnight. There's nothing you're going to do. So whoever was in government, even if Atiku had won at that stage, would be facing the same situation. So it's almost not being real with ourselves by blaming the government for that. COVID has come again. We can't blame government for COVID. What I suggest to you is that things like privatizing NNPC, complete deregulation of electricity and gas, you know, all these sort of things are the ones.
Why haven't we had any government in power to deregulate electricity, you know, all these years?
Because
why?
No, it has been deregulated, but not completely. And the reason why, the reason why is because Nigerians, like we said in last week's program, wanting something for nothing. For nothing. Yeah. So if you say, look now, oil prices have gone up to $60+ a barrel. That means that local oil prices and petroleum products should go up. Nigerians are already crying. Do you understand? But diesel prices are going up. No one is complaining, and diesel is more important, actually, to the economy, than petrol. Yeah. But the hauliers are going with that. They're not complaining. The people, the Danfo drivers, the Molo drivers, they're using it. If you have a generator, you have to pay with diesel. You understand? All the manufacturers have to use diesel. Those prices go up and down and fluctuate because it's been completely deregulated. Why is petrol such a big problem? It defies logic. Are we not focused wrongly in Nigeria? That anytime it's time to do something constructive, is we ourselves are always shooting ourselves in the foot.
We self-destruct. Yeah, I mean, I think it
government said they're spending 50 billion naira a month on subsidizing petrol, electricity. That 50 billion per month could be going to create jobs and whatnot elsewhere, or opening up the economy and all these other things that we're talking about. I mean, it's really difficult. So anyway, security is a big problem in Nigeria. We know that now, and we know that trying to solve that problem is like cracking a nut. You know, it's very difficult.
Absolutely.
And we have looked at some of the causes of the problem. We've looked at some of the solutions, and we know that the economy is the thing that needs to be addressed, because when you have a buoyant economy, there's less insecurity, less criminality,
and less criminality, so, and every other things will start falling into place.
Yeah. So,
but as I said, it's going to be a gradual process, and everything is not going to happen overnight.
Okay, so it's been great having you today. Thank you for joining us on tonight's show. Enough is enough. Soro Soke. Don't be shy. Don't be silent. If you have something to say, say something. Or if you see something, say something. If you can't take it no more, say something, do something. Nigeria go better. We all want a better Nigeria. So for sponsorship and advert placements, please contact the numbers on your screen. I'm your host and founder of Better Nigeria, Mr. FEMI OKE, signing out. See you the same time next week when we debate another hot topic for a better Nigeria. Thank you very much, Oba, for being on the show.
Thank you, Femi.
Have a good day, everybody. Over and out.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Níbi àríyá tàbí lóde ayé ẹsẹ̀ fúnfún nílé afẹ́ ò tàbí níbikíbi. Bóyá 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 ò kẹ́gbọ́n mi. Sweet Heart Fruit ń bẹ́lẹ̀ ìdè o, ó táwọn yọ. Wow! Here is a good information for everybody. Have the taste of fruit in different form at your parties, event, church program, or social engagement like wedding, birthday, conference in your house, and lots more. Fruit cocktails, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration, fruit kebab, and lots more at Sweet Heart Fruit Company. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, ní gbogbo ibi tí a bá ti ń ṣe àríyá, ìgbéyàwó, ọjọ́ ìbí, àjọ̀dún ilé ìjọsìn, níbi afẹ́ tàbí ibi ìgbádùn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, ẹ kàn sí Sweet Heart Fruit ní èyíkéyìí ohun tí ẹ bá fẹ́ kí wọ́n fi fruit dálára fún yín, bíi fruit cocktail, fruit arrangement, fruit palm tree, smoothie, fruit basket decoration àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Níbikíbi tí ẹ bá wà, ẹ lè kàn sí wa lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 079 442 080-258-530 or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all social media platforms at Sweetheart Fruit. Oluwaseun Akishoun is the CEO of Sweetheart Fruit. Patronize us at Sweetheart Fruit today. You will be glad you business with us.